Across the river from downtown Cincinnati, in Covington, Kentucky's main Strauss, and from the beautiful Village Sight Sound and Stage, it's Fret Buzz. Featuring Mike Reeder. William Gilmore Weber. And the lovely Janelle Stevens as the barista. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Mike Reeder.
Hello and welcome to Fret Buzz. We're on episode 11 and we have the Weird Instrument Show today with some great players that play all kinds of instruments, and my good friend William and Janelle. And we're going to play some strange and wacky stuff today for everyone. It'll be a different show.
No frogging goes a-courting, though.
Yeah,
Still,
unfortunately. Yeah, that's right. You don't know yet. You may get lucky this time, William. We have Scott Cardner. We have Sean Spencer with us today. Rick Hordinsky. And John M. Looney, who came all the way up from, where did you come from, John?
Right outside Lexington.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming up, buddy.
Or car?
Yeah, I rode a frog.
Going to courting later, all right?
Yeah.
Going to court.
Yeah. And I appreciate you guys coming. Some of you guys are playing instruments you usually play. Others are playing instruments they never play, which is very brave, and we really appreciate it, actually. For instance, John's going to play a 5-string banjo guitar.
Attempt to play.
Resonator, which is a first for you, right?
I have dabbled in 5-string banjo, but my banjo-playing friends would say otherwise.
Wait, did you get that on the road?
I did get that one on the road, yeah. Yeah, that's a special instrument there.
Yes.
What do you usually play, John?
I'm primarily mandolin and guitar player.
Okay.
Any mando-geared thing, and acoustic and electric guitar.
Cool. Right on. And the name of your band is what again?
My band's called Grits and Soul. That's me.
You play with a bunch of people, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're paying, I'm playing. I play with John R. Miller.
Yeah.
He's a great songwriter, and a few other bands.
Cool. And Scott, what about you? Who do you play with, Scott?
I play with Hickory Robot, play mandolin, and I play bass in a number of projects. I've been in a band called Spook Floaters for coming up on 26 years.
Yeah, man.
And then Jim Pells, who you had a couple episodes ago, he and I are in a group. We're in Robot together, but we're also in a Allman Brothers project, and then Jim's solo project, which is called the Firewalkers.
Right on.
And then some duos, and again, if
there's do you do mandolin in all of them, or different instruments?
I do mandolin in 3 of the projects, and electric bass in all the others.
That's a lot of stuff.
So.
All at once?
Yeah. And my buddy Sean here, he's been playing forever and ever. He's a guitarist and a mandolinist, and mainly plays mandocello now, right?
Yeah.
Been
about 25 years.
Yeah.
Nothing but mandocello.
One of the few people that I know that actually write all their songs on mandocello, right? Or a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much a solo thing now. It used to be, first it was a Nashville songwriter thing. That's where that came about, because everybody was playing guitars there, and I needed something different to stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So suddenly, when I brought that in, everybody stopped shooting pool during my set.
What is
listening,
this?
So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
They're cool.
So we're gonna enjoy some mandocello, one of my favorite instruments, actually.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And Rich, my buddy Rich, you do everything. you play every instrument there is. He originally was going to try to play the hurdy-gurdy for us, which would have been like way cool. But
that would have been like great duo right there, a mandocello.
Yeah, we had some tuning problems, and it's a that's probably the third one that I've had.
Yes.
The third one I've had that never worked out.
When I got it back, I played it a little bit. I saw you rosined it up, and it only sounds like two cats dying in there. It did sound like a whole pound of them.
Well, that's an improvement anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you fight that battle on that Hurdy?
I probably spent 3, 4, 5 hours on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're very fickle.
Yeah. It's
Actually,
not just an instrument; it's a
strings are
hobby.
I don't know.
That one has 4 drones and 2 melody strings.
It's 6 strings. It's built in Ukraine.
Now they make other ones with like more strings or less.
Yeah,
strings.
some
question.
have. There are variations, but that's kind of the average,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
How did you get that, Sean? It was Sean's instrument.
My friend Gordy from the Ukraine, he built it for me,
Wow.
and I sent him some wood and stuff, and sent him some pickup. We did kind of like a swap and then a money thing as well, and it took him 6 months. He's got a little workshop over there, and it's a little war-torn area, and it's really cool.
What's their currency? Like rubles or something like that? I think? Or rubles.
I had to go to the bank a couple times to
figure it out.
Yeah. I needed help.
Well, anyway, we ended up. Rich ended up with this harp guitar, so he's going to play a song on the harp guitar. And
Go from 2 strings to like what? 29.
I guess
or-
there's like 16 strings on that. The Hurdy actually has what? 8? How many strings does a Hurdy have?
6. Oh, well, that one has 6, but there's 4, there's 3 models, there's they're all over the place with that. You're going to start seeing a lot more of that because
I see.
a lot of people are catching on to that.
So it's like a Tony Levin bass and just a million strings.
Yeah. So by accident, we ended up with sort of like the mandolin orchestra family. I have a mandola in the other room, and there is a mando bass sitting there too. Just coincidence, really. I didn't really plan on that. So maybe we can have a whole orchestra thing going on here.
Like I said, do Louie Louie at the end.
Yeah. What'd you do this weekend, William?
Weekend, all week. Had played out with, a little. We went to Chicago. I played in 2 bands up in Chicago to like a crowd of 20 people. And that was fun.
Wow.
Drove up in like ice and stuff. Then we played last night at Northside Tavern, both bands again, and recording both bands.
Wow.
So
That's a full weekend. Did anybody else play this weekend?
Yeah, played last night.
Yeah. Where at?
Robot played at Dead Low Brewing. It was a CD release party for some friends of ours, Highly Likely. So
you had a late night?
not really. It was nice. The gig was over at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I was just hanging out. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's always good when the gig's over before tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I love you guys. That band is one of my favorite bands, man.
Thanks.
So good.
Thank you.
I don't think you would have anybody on here that you didn't like. Right? Except me.
I've got you.
You said you just have a whole show with just people that you don't like and don't like you.
I don't know. That would be awkward.
With instruments
You
don't
suck.
like.
And,
your
But
band
Sean,
common,
it'd
though.
be hard to find people that don't like
All
me.
Squires around.
With snark tunes.
Yeah.
The snark episode.
Snark and
hilarious.
Squire.
Yeah.
We can like compare snarks.
When I was in high school,
Review.
the first time I ever played out, my guitar player got in a fight with like another guitar player that I was playing with, a different band, and the guy came up. We were playing this like school show and untuned his guitar like right before he was and it was like we were playing Won't Get Fooled Again, and I'll never forget when he hit the first chord. The look on his face was utter fear, man.
It's cold. It's cold.
Well, anyway, we got some cool guitars. We got some coffee from who we have coffee from?
It's
Janelle?
319, and today we're drinking Santiago Lopez.
All right. It's
Like
good
I
stuff.
said,
What do you
that's
guys think?
He's a good guy.
You like this coffee?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, it's I don't drink a lot of coffee,
Really?
sadly, because I get too geeked up, and then I'm doing concerts for the dogs and the cats in the basement.
The 2 cats in the hurdy-gurdy.
But it's really good, just straight black. It's really good.
Yeah, I'm like on cup number 3, and I'm doing good. What do you think? Man?
I was at the Anchor Grill earlier, and I shoved down 4, and then I had 2 pots at home.
Wow. Do they still have the
I'm
band?
almost asleep.
Do they still have the band at the Anchor?
Band wasn't working,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's too bad.
And they're, They didn't take my resume, so.
They have one of those little curtain bands. If you guys have never
It's
been
the only
there.
one I've ever seen.
Yeah, you know,
But
Chuck E. Cheese kind of deal.
The singer broke, and they got a Barbie doll now, and it's just and like
Only.
Yeah.
and like all the the trumpet and trombone, they're all in suits, but they have a hillbilly with a straw hat on, playing overalls.
Well, anyway, we got these cool instruments from Mike's Music, and we got some wonderful coffee from 311.
319.
319. Almost
the
close.
Band. That's the band.
Close.
8 away, so.
And we're going to continue on and play some cool songs for y'all.
California!
Yeah, isn't it awesome? That's the name of it.
Hey, bud. Right.
Deal, man. Early style, thin neck for sure. Is that a straw?
It's a cigarette holder.
Here we are, sunny San Rafael. You didn't pack it.
I did not. Grab your own.
What about my security neck pillow? Did you pack that?
I did not.
So that was pretty cool, Spawn Ranch, right? I mean, there's still a lot of people hanging there.
Dude, this is really, really nice here, isn't it?
Sun's starting to come out, so I don't know if I like that.
Well, I'm here with my buddy Dave Kyle, who came to the guitar show in Costa Mesa. You know, we get rid of this SVT and we're gonna, like...
Go to the hospital, I think, after that.
Salute!
Hey, a damn seagull landed on my head. Believe you didn't get that, did you?
We're back on Fret Buzz. We got Scott about to play us a really cool song on a really cool mandolin. What kind of mandolin do you usually play?
My main mandolin is a Kimball A-style made by Will Kimball right here in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's neat. I don't know him.
Yeah, great guys. Great builder, and lots of pros playing him. Andy Statman, if you know mandolin players, is one of the best, plays a Kimball. Grisman's got one of his mandolas. Mike Gugino from Steep Canyon Rangers plays one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's world class. So I'm just lucky. We were in college together, and so.
Oh, okay. You got the hook up there.
Yeah, and then years later, I started playing mandolin, and we hooked up again, and he took pity on me and built me a mandolin. So,
Oh, right
worked out
on.
well.
Yeah. So is this a song that you wrote, or are you
This
playing
is.
Hickory Robot, or?
Yeah, this is one Robot's played 3 or 4 times. This is probably the last thing or the most recent thing I've written. It's called Kentucky.
Oh, neat.
Trying to remember the feeling the first time I looked in your eyes and I knew you loved me. Trying to remember the sound as my heart began to pound and I said I loved you. And I'm trying to recall if I felt anything at all when I left Kentucky. When we first began, so young we had no plan, just a feeling. Well, everything was new, every day just me and you, it left me reeling. We had passion in the night, a belief it'd work out right, we were undefeated. So why did you want me, if you wanted me to change? I never was untrue about who I was to you. There were no disguises. For a while it seemed that we could share a dream undivided. But the folly of youth is not seeing that the truth is not one-sided. So wanted me to change. Learning, growing every day. You no longer see the love inside of me, just a case. And trying to be true to myself when you drove you away. So why did you want me? Yes, why did you want me? Why, if you wanted me to change?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was so good, man. Really good.
That's cool. It's funny because like I'm not used to that 12 fret neck, so I'm like, boy, I'm like way up on this neck, and it's interesting. They're chunkier than like later builders slim down that neck and put in a truss rod. But yeah, that's a nice little Mando.
It's refreshing to hear the somebody take a traditional instrument and totally write a good, valid song on it.
Modern,
that's not about
funky
sodomites
mandolin,
and deliverance and barbed wire fence and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna play the Civil War song, but it's super sad and a little long. So but yeah, it's I think coming up, I grew up on, like, my dad was bluegrass, my mom was Motown. I studied bass in school, and so like all that, like, that's all filtered in, right? So like when I started playing the mandolin, my wife got me one for our 5th anniversary, and so I brought all that to it, and I'm not like a Monroe traditionalist. But I got to study a little bit with Mike Compton, and he really kind of did a number on me in terms of like my approach. And so especially in like a quieter setting, like playing as many strings as possible and lots of double stops.
I noticed that.
And using like that was his thing, was like whenever you can play an open sympathetic string, do so.
Absolutely. Especially when you're by yourself.
Absolutely.
Out.
Mike is the king.
Mandolin actually is very percussive. It's a rhythm instrument.
Yes, it is.
As much as it is a melody instrument. So it fits right in with your like Motown and bass playing and say what?
Exactly.
The hillbilly snare drum.
It is a hillbilly snare drum.
There's a little bit of the newgrass thing coming out in what he was doing. Definitely.
Sam Bush is a huge influence too. I was thinking because I don't own an oval, but it was really cool because it like actually worked really well for solo mandolin. Maybe more than an F-hole instrument because it had that mid-range body that. Or the bass that you
and the chords were full too. It was a great accompaniment for your voice.
Like everything sounded even.
Chords,
great on it. So thanks for.
Oh, no problem. Let me just talk a little bit about it, and you guys can help me out because we were just discussing mandolin history at Gibson, and it's confusing. The early mandolins that were made by Orville, each one of them are mostly different. Each one of them is kind of individual, and then I guess they settle into the standard A. Style mandolin, which is
1900.
Was it a
02,
a junior, an O, a 2, and a 4?
There was the A, and then the 0 was like a student model, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and the higher the number, the higher the quality.
Okay, all the way up to 4.
What is this, Orville Redenbacher?
Yeah, Orville Redenbacher. Yeah, he made a lot of good instruments.
When he wasn't tilling the corn.
Orville Rickenbacker.
So anyway, and then they came out with the scroll body, which is the F models, which I know you guys know, but and they still have this short scale instrument all the way, and they made a 3 first, right?
In the F shape?
Yeah,
I
in the F
believe
shape.
so. The 3-point was the first form.
Yeah,
Was
it had a
it?
3-point. It
Yeah.
had a bump. It had one of these.
It had a bump under the scroll.
Yeah.
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 And you notice back then, everybody was experimenting, trying to get that magic formula together. You'll notice everything's patented.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
And they patent
Patent-
every single
Patent
thing.
applied for most of
Yes.
the stuff. Yeah.
Now, what would the F stand for? Anybody?
I assumed it was Florentine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
believe
that
so.
would be-
Yeah.
I assumed I think was Aeolian. I've heard.
I've heard
that, so-
artist.
Okay,
There's a
there you
lot
go.
of
Yeah.
Yeah.
dispute about that.
And then in
exactly.
1923, they get the F models get a different scale length, right?
22.
22. They get a different scale. Lloyd
First
Lahr.
Lord,
Yeah.
And then they have F holes or Fs.
Correct.
Yeah. Or did
Elevated
that happen before
bridge.
then? Actually, some of the A's have F too. Or was that all from him?
It's all from Lloyd.
All from him,
All
okay.
from Lloyd.
There
So
was only
22
one
or 3.
A that was an A5 with
Yeah.
F holes. That
So
was
is-
made while he was there.
Then they do away with
Plus
the.
Taylor.
Taylor.
yeah.
It was signed the same day as Bill Monroe's. It's
Oh, right.
it's
Miss
a
Griffin's man.
July
Yeah.
9/24.
It's nice to have mandolin experts here to correct me.
Nerds,
But
yeah.
so
I
All right.
prefer nerd.
Who wrote the Christmas song? What was it?
Yeah.
You guys know that?
let me call Jim Pells.
Well, Lahr
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the first guy to say, like, this is just, it's a violin with frets. It should have F holes.
Yeah.
right,
I mean-
right. And also that was at a time period, sort of the end of the mandolin orchestras.
Right. He came along.
Yeah,
kinda
and that's the famous mandolin that is now the bluegrass instrument. An F5.
It's top of the
basically.
mountain.
I got
Yeah.
a banjo mandolin, which is like
Yeah.
really loud.
I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's a
So
sovereign.
banjoline.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, F5s are the most desirable. They're the top of the world of mandolins, and they go
do.
for like $150,000. I mean, they're really a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have one. Have you played one? I'm sure you've played one.
I've played
Yeah.
probably a dozen,
Yeah.
but no, I've never owned one.
Yeah, I've never owned one either.
But have you heard of Lore Fest that goes on in Knoxville?
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
anything
trying
about
to go next year.
Yeah.
It's you can play.
Well, there's a lot
like
of them for
100.
sale.
You need
Yeah.
a background check to get in there?
It's
Major
it's
credit
not
card.
really
Right.
Yeah.
A black card.
easy.
So that'd be like the burst of.
Of a mandolin, that's right.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good.
Yeah, I don't
it's
know how
the
many they made,
Stradivarius,
but there's not a whole lot
I
of
would
them.
say.
I
think there's 250.
Yeah, which is
I
not
think
a
there's,
lot.
Like
Of the
250
Lures?
and there's like 238 are documented. There's like a dozen.
There's a
missing
few out
Is this like Wikipedia or?
There's
like,
a
is there
website. There's a guy, Wolf, Daryl Wolf, who.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
who
he
logs
documents everyone that shows up.
everyone.
Every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
one, yeah.
And their history, if he can, like who's owned them. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It was a great song. Where can
Oh,
we hear
thank
that song at?
What's that?
Where can we hear that song? Besides
It
the
is,
show.
But the show is it for right now. That'll be on the next Hickory Robot record. That, like I said, that one's we played it out like 3 times. So
So it's another
Hot off the
Buzz
presses.
exclusive.
Yeah.
yeah,
right on.
that's probably the first recorded version. So there you go.
Well, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Hello and welcome to Fret Buzz.
It's weird.
Wow.
And I said, is it appropriate? And he's like, I'm saying it's appropriate. I said,
Who writes the checks?
it was weird. It is good, but it's weird too. You're back.
Feel compelled to write the lines that you may read when I am gone.
What can I say? Color me impressed.
Wait, what's up? What are these made of up here? What's going on?
Okay.
You know the difference between an Esquire and a Telly?
Spelling.
These are the moments that make me feel whole, and we'll store them away in a little old place. We keep them right there till we need them the most.
I could probably tell you guys what you were wearing.
I'm a fan of mahogany from Diana Ross's movie.
Oh yeah,
No,
right. Yeah,
they're
one would
not.
think. One would think they aren't though.
Bleh.
There must be
I want to add this, and then I want to add this, and then this would be good too. And the next thing you know, it's like, what have we done?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea.
And go, take the love.
You have lots of good outtakes of me going blah.
I'm good. I'm sufficiently fret buzzed.
Just me and men. I say you're just me and men.
Back on the buzz with John. Woo! Woo! Yeah!
Hoo-wee.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
And you have one weird instrument there, my friend.
Pretty strange.
Yeah, we were discussing what it's called, and we really don't know what it's called.
We don't know what to call it.
It's a banjo, it is a resonator, and it is in a guitar shape, so with a cutaway, with a Florentine cutaway.
So do we got a name? Is it a Drojo or?
Yeah, let's make up our own name.
Drojo.
Alice is a good name for it. Why Alice?
Lucille was taken.
It says Roy right on the headset.
Right, it's Roy.
What, Roy?
It says Roy right on the headset.
It's a Roy.
Yeah, Roy.
His name is Roy.
Yeah. So John was kind enough to play that instrument because I just got it, and I'll tell the story after he plays it.
Oh, okay.
But it is actually made by Showbud.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Show enough.
Sure enough.
And I appreciate you playing that when it's not your main instrument. When we were discussing, he plays pretty much everything, but he's like, I don't do 5-string banjo. I said, well, please, would you do this?
Just don't touch that bottom string,
So,
yeah, the one up here.
Yeah. So
we'll
is
get
this
something out of it?
Is this song something that you usually play on a different instrument?
Yes.
What do you usually play it on?
Well, this is a song Anna and I wrote. My girlfriend, we have the band Grits and Soul. So I'll either play mandolin or electric guitar because we play as acoustic duo, but we're trying to get an electric band going too, which is always fun with the scheduling.
Get one of those little Fender.
I know. Yeah. Yes. I'd like one of those too. Mandocaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a fun, kind of shuffly tune. I thought I could render on this bizarre thing. We'll
cool.
see how it goes.
Have you guys have this on a recording somewhere?
No, we're hoping to record it this summer.
Another exclusive.
Gotcha. Yeah.
First time I've ever sang it.
It's like the exclusive.
Really?
Weird
It's the first
instrument
time
show.
you've ever done it?
No, she sings it.
Oh, wow.
She's
Super
not here.
brave, man. All right. Let's do it.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Say 12 steps help you cope with the
paid with good intentions. It's time to celebrate my redemption. It's time to celebrate my redemption.
Yeah, man.
Think you'll need a second take on that?
Nah, I'm gonna stick with that one.
All right.
I did it again.
That was killer. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, for somebody that doesn't play whatever that thing is, you did a great job.
I'm doing a very sacrilegious thing of playing a 5-string banjo with a pick.
But, redemption there.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll see. But
Yeah, so normally, you know, what you were pointing out there is people would play like a banjo. Yeah, that kind of style. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's bad too.
No, that's great, man. That's great. Really good. Better than I think
Is that
all of us
Froggy
could have
Mountain
done.
break?
Froggy Mountain.
Oh.
There's a great bumper sticker that said, keep safe distance. I'm having a foggy mountain break now.
You always could have tuned it open and used the slide too.
I thought about it.
Got
That was a
dobro
consideration. I was like, well, I'm in G. I mean, I can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
was
play
great,
slide,
man.
but not on one of these.
So did you sort of play it like a tenor? Is that what
Well,
you...
no, I'm playing it like it's tuned like a banjo would be tuned to G. It's just figuring out those shapes and patterns, if you will.
Yeah. So how is a banjo normally tuned?
This is it.
I mean, what notes?
Oh, sorry. This is G.
Do you want this?
Oh, I'm
D.
GBD.
Yeah, and there's a B and then a D on the D,
It goes-
G,
it goes
and there's
up the
another
chord,
G.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
that's cool. This thing is
it's wacky.
is
right?
wacky.
It is
yeah.
wacky.
Yeah.
It's
So
wacky.
You got that on the road.
I did get that on
trip.
the road when we just went on a big trip, a big buying trip out west. So we went to San Francisco and stuff. And on the way back, I stopped at one of my friend's store, who is also a curator for a museum. What city was that?
Tulsa.
Was it Tulsa? I think it was.
Yeah.
And he happened to be getting that day the Roy Clark collection. So I was there the day.
Wasn't going to a museum.
Well, some were going to a museum, and then others he was offering for sale by the state. So we got
That's the Roy.
That's the Roy Clark.
Wow.
Son of a gun.
That guitar was made
pressure.
for Roy Clark. It was one of his instruments, and it's a guitar that we're going to have available on our website for sale, along with 3 or 4 other instruments from Roy.
Oh, cool.
And as far as I know, it's the only one ever made. I mean, I've never seen a Showbud Resonator.
I wonder
No.
what he named it. You know.
Well, this
He's
Yeah.
this is interesting.
The bolt on, yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing that's late
not holding
70s.
anything together, but I would like to know what's under that.
Well, sometimes there's like
It's
little
where he hit his
height
ammo at.
adjustments.
Height or truss rod?
Yeah, a truss rod adjustment or height adjustments. Sometimes they're in there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that that's something that they made for Roy because they're a fan or they just wanted him to play
Right.
one. He may have requested it because that's a pretty weird instrument just to make out of blue.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it would satisfy either a banjo player or a dobro player.
Yeah.
fully, you know.
Or a mandolin player.
I've done
Indeed, definitely.
very little searching for him playing it, but
Well, what happens with a lot of these odd instruments that pop up with people like Roy is I used to live next door to Bo Diddley in Florida, and he had all kinds of odd foot
Strange
pedals.
stuff.
People would make things for him and go to their show and go, "Hey, I'm giving this to you,"
Sure.
and they would end up with it. And so
Yeah.
that's how the history of these odd things came up.
I had a guy in, I think, Denmark or something like that, did that with a fuzz, and it was just like the weird, gnarliest.
he gave you a fuzz pedal?
Yeah, it was like real small. It was like metal.
Yeah.
Or
Was it
whatever.
good?
Oh, it was awesome, man. Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It is
Well,
awesome.
anybody who wants to give me anything, I'll take them.
Me too.
Well,
yeah.
great.
But something like that though, I wouldn't think they would just make something weird. I could see giving him like a pedal steel or
I
something.
bet
like
this
that.
is one of one.
Yeah, I bet you it is too. And
I think it would benefit from bronze strings. It'd probably be twice as loud.
They broke the mold.
those are the strings he had on it.
You'd have
so,
to figure out the gauges and all
Yeah.
that. But
It's not like he probably Junior
actually
Browned
are.
it and just
Right.
took a banjo and a dobro and laid it together and said, "Hey,
They
you
closed
know,
the door and let him,
mix it up."
Well, no, I'm sure that those strings don't feel that old to me. So
No,
I mean that
they've
guitar
never been.
from the
this
way
has
it's
never been
made, I would
played.
guess late 70s probably. It looks like a late 70s instrument to me.
Yeah, it seems like they got back into that real, extreme cutaway.
And the bolt-on neck is so you see a lot of that
Yeah.
in the 70s.
especially with that kind of plate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, the real bolts would be under that if it was a bolt-on.
Yeah.
Because those screws definitely.
Yeah, that's not holding it together.
Right. I'm sure there's bolts and maybe a truss rod thing in there. But anyway, thank you so much for playing it. And,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky, we'll see a picture of Roy that we can fly in playing it too. But
Yeah, that would.
You could superimpose it.
you know what I was told by the estate was that a lot of the acoustic instruments there's no photos of him with because he only played plugged in.
Right.
You know, for the most
Except
part.
on Hee-Haw.
Well, he played L5s and acoustics with pickups.
Yeah.
He played like one of those scratches that are like, yeah.
There's a video of Roy playing a Jazz Master.
Oh yeah,
Young,
I've seen that.
playing
He played
a jazz,
Jaguars and
killing
Jazz
it. It's
Masters.
great.
He was like so good, man.
There's a place
And
at the
he
corner
grinned.
of in Northside at the corner of Chase and Coleraine that used to be a repair shop. What was it called? Does anybody remember that?
I don't.
I walked in there one time to get something done, and he was in there
Oh,
playing
yeah.
a whole lot of Love, and everybody was just jamming with him.
Oh wow,
Really cool.
yeah. Well, really talented guy, and feel lucky to have it. And I'm so glad you played it, John. Thank
Yeah,
you so
it's
much.
cool, man. I'm
Appreciate
glad
it.
I agreed to play this thing.
Yeah, cool.
And to me, this is just like a deco masterpiece, made in the 30s, just the top of the line of handcrafted guitars. So I talked Elliot out of it. And then years passed. I kept the guitar. It was candy apple red with a matching headstock. And nobody really knows if they just did a batch of these or if people ordered them. If you're an Eric Clapton fan, you probably saw him play a Sumner's Telly like this with a Stratocaster neck on it. I got about halfway home and he called me and said, "I'm going to sell it to you." So I drove all the way back to Philly after a long week of guitar show. I collect Pelham Blue guitars, and this is one of the rare models. You see Pelham Blue in a lot of guitars. Not really a lot, but more often in SGs and things like that. You never see a 345. This is a 59 Les Paul. It used to belong to Brad Whitford. And it is very figured, which is what makes him the most valuable. This guitar is nicknamed Snake.
Back on the buzz with Sean Spencer. Fabulous Sean Spencer. You're one of my favorite artists, buddy. I really.
No, I don't.
You are, and actually, your videos influenced
Humbled.
me a lot too. They did, and
Told me that.
yeah, you're the first person I ever requested a song on the show with.
Yeah.
By the way, so I appreciate you doing it.
We were going to do a video together, but nobody
Yeah.
wanted to die. Somebody's
That
got
was his rule. That was his rule. Oh, yeah.
Somebody's always got to die or be murdered or something in
Yeah.
one of my pieces.
Yeah, it's the rules.
So sometimes it's just me, so it's always suicide. Killed myself several times.
You don't finish those, though, do you? It's like,
Well, it ends.
that's where you get the bullet hole in the.
Like like Crazy Mary and
Dirty Larry.
Yeah, whatever. Remember that? And that's the way his videos always end.
Or
It's sort of like
Thunderbolt and like.
get hit
They
by a
don't end
train
well.
or something.
Yeah. And they're always dark, and everything comes from the. I really like the Middle Eastern modal stuff, the darker stuff, or the darker Irish stuff, or the darker bluegrass
Kinda
stuff. I
like,
like miners.
Yeah.
Murder ballad kind of.
Yes,
The
yes,
happy,
the
cheerful
murder
stuff.
ballads.
You're all about the happy, cheerful stuff.
I
Have you
I'd
ever
love to
wrote?
hear
Have you ever
Froggy
done a
does
happy
important
song?
in it.
Sean?
Yeah, I've done a
Minor.
couple of them.
Yeah.
I've done. Yes, I have. I
Okay.
have.
All right.
I've done with some positive outcomes.
All right.
How about Froggy goes a Frogger? crossing the road and
Froggy gets hit by the car. There you go.
But sometimes you got to get a point. You grow up happy. All this stuff you process it through whatever kind of experiences you had through life, and sing songs.
You have a long, weird, eclectic history in music business, and I really appreciate you coming. Like I said, man, I'm a big fan, and I think I first became aware of you. Through maybe when I was playing with Love Crush or something with Tina or something, but
I think it was when I came into your shop and
Okay.
you sold me a 410 Marshall cabinet.
well, I don't remember.
Which I
that.
thought I was like, I scored. He totally did not know what he had. Of course
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
in the 20 that he has.
Right, yeah.
Well, anyway, man, I would ask you what you're playing, but I know he's going to do a song called "Uneasy Chair," which is a great song and a cool video.
Thank you.
Well, I assume you're going to do it. I asked you to do it. Are you going to play it?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm tuned up for that. And,
Right on.
She's ready to go. So.
All right, let's do it, man.
Sitting all alone in your uneasiness. Don't know how you let it go so far. If by some chance you make it through this evening, you have to thank your unlucky stars. Now you find you've been beside yourself with pity. Sitting all alone, so sad and pretty. Now you wear your solitude just like a new dress, and the shadows bring you comfort for a while. But it only takes a spill to make a big mess, and the errors of your ways proceed to trial. You say you like the way the moon falls on the city, while the devils dance around you like a gypsy. They always find you there, alone in your uneasy chair, seething at the room. The widow spins a loom. It's not on me to care. I'm not supposed to have a clue. When you're uneasy, I'm uneasy too. They always find you there, alone in your uneasy chair, seething at the room. The widow spins a loom. It's not on me to care. I'm not supposed to have a clue. When you're uneasy, I'm uneasy too.
Did you hear the buzz? That was a fret buzz right there. That was a fret buzz. Thank you. This is different from my instruments, so it's tuned way down, so it's not like I could, belt it out,
Yeah. He makes his own mandocellos. You have his own company, which is called
Bard Song Instruments.
Bard Song Instruments. So he's
Out
used
of
to playing
respect for you, I didn't wear a Bard Song shirt
Oh,
today.
you could have. I would have been happy with that. We'll fly in your logo.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And I appreciate you playing that instrument. You usually tune differently than most people tune mandocellos, right?
I did that for a reason. The first instrument I ever played was a Gibson K1 at Gruen Guitars.
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with it, and it was $3,000, 100 years old and falling apart. And I thought, I can't afford that. How many can I build before I spend $3,000 and get one that works? So I started.
How many licks did it take to get to the center of that?
Exactly. And the first one sold, so I knew I was onto something right then. But everybody in Nashville was guitar player. All the songwriters were guitar players. So in order to compete with them, you need the latest guitar, the latest pickup, the latest gear, and all that stuff. So when I switched to it, I started tuning it in an open E so I could play with everybody. So if you're in the key of G, I would just capo here.
Because you were playing with other players at that time.
And so it worked out that way, because if I didn't, and I'm watching you play a G chord, my mind's getting really messed up over here. I'm trying to transpose it into my head, and there's that latency period of how quick can I transpose this to get to that chord. So that's why I started tuning them like that. So it was easy so we can jam.
It's a great tuning, though. I mean, it's like really like
it is.
Like
It's very, very Draculan.
Dark and barky.
Yes.
Real fast, just originally, the mandolin orchestras where all these instruments were made were based on the same as a violin orchestra, a stringed orchestra. So like a mandolin was the violin voice, and a mandola would be viola, and then the mandocello would be the cello, and then the bass would be the bass. So the way it worked would be like a mandolin is EADG, right? And then a mandola is a fifth up, so that would be C, G, D, A, right?
Yep.
And then a mandocello is an octave down.
A, right.
Actually, a mandocello is an octave down from that.
Right.
So it's the same notes,
right?
Just down an octave. And then a bass.
The bass would go back to the G, D, A, E.
Yeah, but it's the opposite way. So a bass is a low E, whereas a mandolin.
So it's in fourths, like a normal.
Yeah, it's just same as a mandolin upside down.
Right.
If you understand what I'm saying. So the low string on the bass is the E, whereas on a mandolin, the high string is an E.
Right.
But it is the same notes. And the way they work that.
I wish guitar was like that.
Yeah.
High and low strings.
And those mandolin orchestras were interesting because they also had harp guitars in them, and they had guitarists in them and things like that. And they were really popular at the turn of the century into the 20s, and that's when all these instruments were really popular.
Is
By
there
the 30s,
one band or like one orchestra that sticks out in your mind? That
no, they were all over the country, and there was clubs.
Apparently, every town would have one.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. And they faded out.
They would have clubs at schools and in colleges, and a lot of like mandocello players or violinists and mandolinists would play parties and events, with 2 and 3 pieces. They would play with like a guitar player, and
That's what people did before Facebook.
Right? Yeah, that was the social networking of the turn of the century.
Yep.
Yeah.
Truly parlor music.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because you aren't going to just carry that around with you wherever you go. Like that's going to stay at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Play a diner and.
I wonder, did they make a case for that?
And
yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I wonder what that whole app.
And this could be a shield in a shootout too. Very thick tops on those.
And originally the way like the bluegrass thing started happening is basically for that reason. The main instrument at parties was violins.
Right.
And then
fiddle tunes to dance to.
Irish people came to Appalachia,
right.
and they brought ouds and mandolins, and that
yeah.
sort of became part of it too. So.
Yeah. And now they morphed into they got an Irish bouzouki now too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can thank Stephen Sobel for that.
I think a bouzouki is is an octave mandolin, if I remember correctly.
It's a little. The scale's closer to a guitar.
Right. So the interesting stuff about that to me is there are a lot of the same notes sort of overlapping in octaves. So like Rich, you probably know this better than me, but like a normal orchestra, like a stringed orchestra is how many octaves? Like 5 or 6, something like that.
Yeah, it depends.
So it's all sort of the same notes and just different octaves and stuff when you think about it. So they were achieving the same thing with string instruments. And then the only thing that's kind of weird about those string instrument orchestras or mandolin orchestras is the addition of the guitar, which adds sort of like a chordal structure to the whole thing for the most part.
When was the beginning of the end?
They sort of took over. The guitar took over because they sort of realized, this is sort of everything in one.
They didn't continue production of these after that.
No,
it all went to guitars, tenor guitars, parlor guitars.
Just think of the Beatles, they didn't change the Beatles on those things.
Plus that was the Depression era, so people weren't really buying instruments for to hang out and go to clubs and have parties and do things like this. I'm assuming
depends on what kind of club and party was.
Louisville has a great mandolin orchestra still.
Oh, do they?
Yes, they do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really.
I didn't know
neat.
if there's one in Cincinnati, but
Yeah.
the guys in Louisville, they do shows a few times a year.
That's pretty neat.
This is an odd bird.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, this is another one that we got on a trip. This is a really weird story, but when we were at the San Francisco Guitar Show, I had been sort of obsessed by
LA.
Was it LA? One of the guitar shows we were at. I had become obsessed by mandocellos, and I just bought a K2 mandocello from, and while I was doing that, I was researching people who had mandocellos, and a good friend of mine, actually an acquaintance of mine that I became a good friend with, named Matt Woods, is like one of the leading experts in mandocellos, and he's had probably every mandocello in the world, and he does these videos on YouTube. I should check him out. And he wrote the Fretted Instrument book, which is like this book like this. He's like
It's like a Bible. Yeah.
He's like a genius.
War and Peace of mandocello.
So I've been discussing mandocellos a little bit with him and trying to buy some of those mandocellos, and he showed up at the show. I didn't know he was going to show up at the show. He showed up at the show, and I had a 1964 335 that he was wanting to buy, and we were negotiating on that. He goes, you know what? I have this weird guitar in my car. It is a Bowman, which is what this is. He goes, I bought all the instruments from the Bowman family that were left over in the factory, and I have the whole set. He had a guitar, a mandolin, a octave mandolin, some weird a mandola, and some weird mandola that had like doubles 10 strings or something.
Cittern. That's what they're called.
Cittern, and this mandocello and a guitar. And I was like, oh, well, I'd love to see that guitar. So he ended up bringing it in. He brought the guitar in, so I have the guitar. All of these instruments, including the guitar, have sympathetic rods in them. Bowman was an engineer. He designed all kinds of things that happened on instruments that never actually got around to being popular. But the top is not carved. It's actually bent, as you were pointing out, Sean. And it's maple, flame maple. The sides are sort of not concave, but I don't know what you would call that, where it sort of bows out, which is really odd.
It's a taper and a backward taper.
Yeah, a backward taper. The tuners these tuners are not that special, but the ones on the guitar that I got.
Which he has a patent on every one of his tuners.
He has patent on every one of them. And, special binding, interesting inlays.
I'm wondering if like Ovation got the idea for their headstock.
Maybe.
That,
All of these instruments have weird features.
He actually made the tailpiece, which he patented, of course, to take away the pressure on the post here, where the loops go over.
Yeah.
So that was his own design as well.
Yeah, and also the strings go beside these little screws, and they're also made where you can wrap them around it. This one isn't like that, but on the guitar, it comes through there and then it wraps around these screws, which take the tension off in a weird way or pull the strings down.
Now I remember the other one. The other one had like some like.
It has like an armrest that comes up.
Oh, okay, that's what.
And it has a switch that actually mutes the sympathetic strings. So on the guitar, there's a switch here that mutes the sympathetic strings. But they're all this body shape.
Right up at the top.
Oh, it does?
Right here. Pull it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man,
See right there.
Yeah.
And these bars are one's copper, one's brass, one's steel, and one's Italian silver.
Okay.
So if you ever get in a bind, in a pinch, and you need to cash in some silver, take one of them out.
And you can tune the bars down here. So yeah, it's all these weird different patterns and strangeness. The neck on this is really great.
It is. It's nice
really,
and
really
light,
nice.
and there's not a truss rod in it, of course. It reminds me of almost one of the earlier Trinity College Bazooki's necks.
Yeah.
It's got a real comfortable feel. I like the way. What does Ying Bei do to his frets?
It's scalloped.
Yeah, he scalloped the end there.
He scalloped it. And all these instruments are sort of Art Nouveau looking instruments. They have that style to them.
The mandolin has the same body shape.
Yeah.
Wow.
The
that's
mandola,
interesting.
all of them are the same. I'll show a picture of the set.
I was saying the mandola, earlier. That sounds like something in your throat.
The guy was born in Bavaria in 1847. In 1870, he ended up in Chicago, and then his first builds were all train wrecks. Nobody wanted them. And then he got better and better and better. Now the guitar you have, he called the presentation model, and that's when they really started getting high end. And he was competing with Orville and C.F. Martin and all those guys then. So I'm not sure of the date of that. But check this out. He used to put a label on the inside of them offering a $125,000 reward if you could find an instrument that sounded and played better than his.
Wow. Yeah, they used to do crazy ads like that back in the day.
Yeah.
They're from 1915, and that's what's Matt told me.
Was he tied in with Larson Brothers at all?
No, but the binding is similar.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
My first thought was like they're the.
No, he has his own thing, man. All of these are there. It has a volute like you see on.
Well, he didn't want to give $125,000 for Larson.
Right, exactly. And that's a long volute too.
Yeah, a really long volute that goes all the way up into here.
And he used the most highest quality materials he could get.
Yeah, I mean, look at the maple on this.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know. This doesn't really look like it's cut even. I don't know. Does anybody?
Well, that's that's a sign of a handmade thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like violins or with the scroll is cut.
And a lot of the older luthiers, the finishes they were using, they're all French polished.
Yeah, this is varnish.
They were totally buzzed. They were fret buzzed out of their minds. So of course they're going to do a crooked cut here and there.
But anyway, this is one of the weirder instruments
It's
I've ever
beautiful.
owned.
Are you keeping it, or is it gonna?
I don't know what I'll do, but I'm Mandocello obsessed mainly because of you right now. So, you've played it more than I have. I literally got it the day I got it. You got it.
I've been really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Really, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having an affair with it. So hold on to it tight.
So anyway, Sean, if people want to hear your music, where can they find it?
Oh, gee. I guess, YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a bunch.
His band was called Spellbox. You can go check them out. They're great.
I also used to play in a band just called Spencer, and it was Crow Chain before that. It was all the members except the female singer of Highway 101. When they broke up, they started producing my first record, and so that band, we did some really phenomenal stuff. By the way, that was the band that killed country music too. Brought it into the mainstream, made it weird. So I don't know. It's all over the place. I just don't really publicize my stuff too much anymore.
Occasionally, I'll talk him into doing a show with my band. So,
and it's wonderful, and I do that. And you're a great guy to have, and
thanks, man.
Probably not the kind of guy you want to tick off neither. So I can't say no to that. I can't say no to you.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm good. Is everybody's labs on?
Everybody wearing them? Reader?
Hello, mine's not, because I'm a dumbass.
He said it. So, episode.
Shit.
Episode shit.
Episode shit. We did
that was the last episode.
Shit.
Crazy.
That
might be
so
it.
crazy. Oh, shit.
That might be that.
Oh.
Oh dear. Oh.
I can't believe it.
All right.
Surf's up.
Do a surf.
Check 1 2, test 1 2. Big testes.
Check 1 2.
Look around and make sure we got no beer cans and that kind of stuff.
Pour whipped cream over my junk.
Yes.
That night.
Hoping
Just in case everybody would have something to eat.
Yeah. Soft.
Testicle. Testicle.
I literally almost wore a cape.
That's awesome.
It's very cool.
I think whipped cream on my junk might be the name of the show.
Yeah.
All right, we're back on the buzz, and I'm out of coffee, Janelle. Can I have some more coffee?
More porridge, please.
Yeah. Before Rich plays that giant instrument he has in his hand there. Oh, thank you so much.
It's almost like Rick Nielsen's
Thank
five-neck.
Yeah. This 319 coffee is the best, man. I really like it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. What is this brew?
This one is Santiago Lopez.
All right.
He's a great guy.
I've been running up and down the
cut of his
steps back
jib.
there.
He's like in a mariachi band or something. So what's that giant thing you got there, Rich? It's a growth.
the guitar.
You got a giant growth on your lap.
I'm not an expert, but it's a harp guitar.
Yeah.
Early 18th century, 19th century.
Yeah,
20th
man.
century, early 20th century.
It's such a really cool instrument.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's large.
It's
Yeah.
got the scroll to sort of fit in with the theme.
Yeah.
Of the rest of the
Right.
show.
Right, exactly. Now, I did look to Europe. It's 1910.
1910.
Yeah. I was, the earlier ones, if you look at U-style harp guitars, which is what that is, the earlier ones have that fixed bridge like that, and then they go to an archtop setup.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's one of the later fixed bridge ones.
Yeah, a lot of pressure for a
Which is
archtop
probably
bridge.
why, well,
Yeah.
actually, I think probably it's more pressure for a fixed bridge.
Yeah, I mean less
Yeah.
belly pressure, but
Yeah.
more down pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
Most of the ones I've had before, actually, I've probably only had one more like this. These early ones were a lot more different. Each one was a little different, more handmade. The bodies are a little bit different than some of the later ones. The scroll, most of these early ones were 12 and 11 strings. This one's a 10 string on the harp side. And
Do you think the piece of metal that's coming to the bridge? I mean, it's it's got an artistic aspect, but do you think that was helping in some way, or is that just?
I think they feared
cosmetic?
feared that it would fly off, so they did some of
They
those.
wanted that to be structural to help
I
it
don't
out.
really
So
think
there's
it
no
was,
bar that runs through there and attached to the.
no, there's not actually. It's one big giant thick piece of spruce.
Okay.
And at this time period, all these instruments, the Style 1 guitars, the L1s, L2s and 3s, all had very thick spruce tops. And that's just one giant piece of spruce. That's a really wide piece of spruce, man.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the tree that came from.
Right.
And it's all hand carved.
There's no bracing.
There's no
Like bar bracing.
There's bracing.
There's ladder bracing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now those are sympathetic. You can play those strings.
Well, actually, they were meant to be played. Basically, the way it is, it's a normal guitar tuning, and then the rest of the strings are the notes you don't have. So they figure you already have the low E and the low A. So it's chromatic. Can you tell us, Rich? Do you know?
Well, when I looked it up, there was a variety of things, but it could be chromatic, and it could also
So
be
baby, you're in tune.
Could be diatonic. I tuned it to my own little thing.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, initially when I read about
a G
them,
chord and then accent it with
exactly, yeah, you'd hit the root
Right.
note, exactly. Yeah. So you'd hit the root note and then play the chord.
That would take a really big slide, if you're.
Yeah, I don't think you could play slide on
And
it.
if you had them tuned chromatic, then it could be really sympathetic no matter what you play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
tune
And I
the
think
whole
that was
thing
a,
open and use a bow on it too.
yeah, I've never seen that done, but that's interesting.
It'd be hard because you don't have any arch for the bow. But.
And that's one of the interesting things between these stringed instruments and the mandolin orchestras and the violin orchestras is basically the way the instruments are played. Like like on a mandolin, you go like that, and on the violin, you have a bow. So it's a different kind of attack. And that's why the same piece, a Bach piece played in a mandolin orchestra, has a different sound and feel than the other
And I'm
one.
sure
There's
it's
no
a-
sustain the same.
Yeah, I'm sure it's arranged with that in mind.
Yeah.
Pretend sustain.
Right. It's a different version of sustain.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right.
When you originally wrote the song that you're going to play for us, what did you write it on?
I actually wrote it on electric. It's in open G. So I just kind of transposed it over here, and then when I was thinking of the hurdy-gurdy, it was also in G, and so kind of adapted it a little bit.
It's the same song you were going to try to do?
Same
Oh, that's
song,
cool.
yeah, stuck with the
Awesome.
same song.
I like how he's helping you hold it. Oh, it's almost on his lap there.
Yeah.
He's
All right.
sympathetic also. So.
Two people could literally play that thing.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Nelson twins.
I saw Kiss do that. One reaching over the other. That was kind of, but yeah.
His tongue was involved too. Right?
Well, don't do that, Sean. That'd be nasty. So is this a song you've ever done in a band or anything, Rich?
No, it's actually relatively new, about a month old.
Exclusive again.
I have a recording of it, but haven't. It's not finished and it's not been released yet. So.
Well, that's cool. Did you have trouble getting it to work on that, or?
Tuning is a thing. It's
Yeah.
kind of like tuning a harp guitar. It's kind of like having a hobby, because of the string length, and it's wood. So every time you tune one of the big strings, the whole neck moves just a little bit, so all the other strings go flat. So
Right.
you're constantly adjusting, like a floating tremolo.
Now, is that like an adjustment on the steel rod behind it? Like you turn it and like.
I think that's just a
Turnbuckle?
stabilizer bar.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
I'm,
No, I didn't. I'm not going to mess with that. I think that's probably in a good spot. It feels solid.
So, Rich, what I'm used to you doing is being an amazing guitarist and engineer, and
I'm a horrible engineer.
well, I mean, you got the monastery and you do amazing stuff over there.
Ella, like I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, amazing recordings. And, what
And
other?
you do performances at your place also, right?
Yeah.
Occasionally.
You had
Try not to.
Reese Chapman. I missed that, but
Who was there?
Reese Chapman. Didn't you have him at your place?
Doesn't ring a
Or
bell.
Rice or
I don't know. I'm not involved with everything that happens there, so it's
Yeah.
entirely possible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm kind
Yeah.
of there too.
Yeah.
But tell us about some of your current projects that you're doing now.
Well, I doing a handful of my own recordings. I'm always working with other people, producing records for David Wilcox or Phil Kagi or whoever.
Yeah.
A little bit of production, a lot of writing.
Rich was in
playing
Over the
shows.
Line in the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of writing of your own personal stuff, or?
Yeah, a fair amount of
Yeah.
writing. Yeah, I kind of stopped writing songs for a little while. Just went through a phase where I felt like I didn't really have anything to say. I probably still don't have anything to say, but
Isn't it weird how that happens sometimes?
Get over the feeling of it anyway.
Yeah.
So
I think we've all been there where we felt like, it's like, why would anybody want
Right,
to hear?
yeah, absolutely.
Nobody cares.
You do a lot of instrumental stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm. I do a fair amount of instrumental stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in all styles or just.
No, not all styles. I kind of have my own little groove. I do.
Yeah.
Instrumental. I don't know what you
And
call it.
You're a multi-instrumentalist, so you do a lot of your. Do you do everything or?
No, I mean I really play guitar. I mean I can pass on the piano or play a little bit of banjo, but
You play drums too, right?
A little bit,
Yeah.
but not in real life. But I do. I'll take the banjo and we do like a lot of stuff with the bow and the banjo and stuff like that. So I'm not like a banjo player or whatever. I can hack away at a lot of different things.
Probably one of the best guitarists in town, I would say.
Yeah. No, thank
just
you.
really, really so good, man.
There's a lot of great players in town.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you picking up that giant thing there.
It's been a fun challenge. I've always enjoyed the sound of them. Pardon?
Is your leg
Is your leg asleep?
It's actually not that heavy. It's more.
It really
more
isn't
bulky.
that heavy. It's just
No.
awkward.
Yeah.
I would say.
Right. Yeah. I was nervous putting it in the car.
Yeah. So what's the song about that you're going to play?
It's a song. It's a song I wrote right before the winter solstice, thinking about how, all these different cultures and religions and stuff. They all have like a winter ritual. Like Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever. It always happens at like right when the darkest night of the year, the longest night of the year, whenever that switches over. And like, I was just thinking about, people who are having a hard time, or sometimes you got to get up and do stuff, and sometimes you got to just kind of put your head down and wait for it to blow over. And so there's kind of bookends.
It's my life.
So this is the Wait Till the Smoke Clears song. It's called Wait for the Light.
Awesome.
Want to hear it?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay.
There's a sliver of moon climbing over the hill. The night's too big to swallow. It's too tough to kill. You're 2 foot sore to run, and you're too warm to fight. So you close your eyes and wait for the light. You sat in the garden with your back to the wall, afraid to sit pretty, afraid to stand tall. You ate of the fruit, still you don't know what's right. So you close your eyes and wait for the night. Wait for the light. Wait for the light. Like a babe in the cradle with the shutters drawn tight. When the oil in your lamp won't last the night, you just close your eyes and wait for the light. Like a fallow field waiting till spring is in sight. Oh, you sag and you sing and you break in the night. 'Cause your heart is a sparrow, it's too tired to take flight. So you close your eyes and wait for the light. Wait for the light. Wait for the light. Close your eyes and wait for the light. When you hear the chain creaking and the collar seems tight, you just close your eyes and wait for the light. Wait for the light. Wait for the light. Close your eyes and wait for the light. Through the smoke of the battle, when there's no land in sight, you just close your eyes and wait for the light.
Yeah.
Really, really.
Yeah, man. Really nice, Rich. Really, really nice.
Thanks for letting me play this thing, man. That's
Man,
amazing.
That was the perfect song for that too.
Yeah.
because it had a really like Celtic turn of the century kind of vibe to it. I thought it was perfect,
Cool.
man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He was right. It almost had a little bit of the solstice Christmassy thing.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. It
I
had-
danced naked under the moon.
Oh, that's a bad image.
2 moons.
Counting the days.
Put that in the video, Rich.
It's like Pinocchio and the snowman are walking along. You know?
No,
That
seriously,
song's
man.
playing.
Definitely had that kind of feel to it. It sounded great.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful, man.
Beautiful thing, man.
Yeah. So, what did you end up doing tuning wise with the harp strings?
So I tuned this to G-A-B-E. Originally, I just did that just to use them as
That was
occasional
cool.
strings,
That-
but I thought making it a melody, I kind of stumbled on making it a little melody.
Yeah.
I saw you move your hand. Were you trying to get like a harmonic also along there?
They speak a little better up here.
Yeah.
If you get in the middle, they're a little floppy.
Yeah.
And then they overlap a little bit. Yeah, but it's hard to jump and catch that.
Ah.
I mean,
And
if
then
I had a
go-
couple weeks, I could get it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to pick like spots that I could get to.
The amazing part was the low string, whatever.
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
it's monstrous. I just love
getting
that.
up phlegm.
And I tuned so G, G, D.
Yeah.
So like you can just kind of hit those and
Yes,
get a
yes,
thing.
yes.
And then they're
I love that.
sympathetic.
Hey, Jason, can you bring in the Mando bass real fast? So what is that low string on that one again?
This is a low G. This is like
Low
a
G.
on the,
Yeah.
on the,
So like, where would that be on a
Third fret
piano?
on-
Like
be the third fret on a bass, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? I figured that's.
Well, this is
lower.
probably not in tune, but this would be a G, which I think it's 2.5 sub flat, but yeah. There's your E. So I just wanted to show this real fast. So this is the Mando bass. This was the bass instrument from the mandolin orchestras.
Styleway.
And what's interesting is they were fretted. You know what I mean? And they're giant mandolins.
But would you play it sitting down? Like, how would you play it?
Well, it does have a side. It has the
Oh, it
option
has
for
a-
a side pin, and it has a bottom pin. So the pin isn't out, but it could come up, and you could play it like a normal upright, or you could tilt it sideways like this.
Andre the Giant would just strap it on, though.
Well, they would
Yeah,
actually.
there's little mice on
They'd
there.
play them like this, you know.
Oh, it makes such a great noise.
Can that be bowed also, or?
And it has, bronze string, so it sounds a lot like a piano.
Now, how does his G go with his low G?
Well, this is tuned flat.
But you can still punch a G in there, right?
Well, I don't think it's a G. I think I'm on an F or something. Yeah. But that would be the concept.
Be a hell of a smoke on the water.
It'd be fun to show up at a
Yeah, you're
random
playing a G
bluegrass
now,
jam
right?
with that.
Yeah. This is G.
Yeah, so I'm playing A, so I'm a whole step flat.
Okay.
So isn't it bad? It's really cool.
Totally.
And it like sustained.
I just wanted to show this. This is one of the things I brought with me just because to kind of complete the set. You know what I mean? And-
Weird.
Yeah, the weird instrument.
Is that the
set.
one that's been down the front lobby
It is
for
the
a
one. I
while?
actually have 2 of these, believe it or not. I got 2 of them from one guy. I've always wanted one. And I always thought I would use it in a video or something, but I never got around to
Well,
it.
dear Yard.
What year is this?
Another first.
Oh, this one is 1926. This is the end of the stuff, the very last of them. The other one I have is a little bit earlier. Sometimes they have like a metal bar that comes across the front of them so that you could put your bow, because they did bow these, even though they're fretted, they still bowed them too.
That'd have to be a very early script logo.
Yeah, 1926. I mean, you see that on LOs and stuff like that. The guitars, silkscreen actually. Yeah. So yeah, man. Thank you guys for coming so much and playing these strange instruments and
Thanks to the crew.
The wonderful songs.
amazing,
Everyone was great.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Wayne, E.
Yep. All the crew was badass as usual. Thank you so much.
People don't know there's, 30 people back there.
Yeah, it's like,
Wayne is our photographer, Wayne Littner. Elton Clifton is our director. We got Jason Roll and Rachel Foxworthy. And we have some help from Sin State AV. And Janelle Stevens is our barista today. She did a great job. Wonderful coffee. I'd also like to thank Branch Hill and Mike's Music for being our sponsors. And thank you all. Yeah. Coffee up, everybody.
Good show.
Woo!
Let's go! Come on!
Someone's got to know us. You guys know thousands.
Yeah, just give us a...
Pick a song.
Sit on top of the world or something.
Remember, darling, that time after school. Remember, darling, we broke the rules. Now she's gone, and I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world. And now she's gone, and I don't worry, 'cause I'm sitting on top of the world.
The folly of youth is not seeing that the truth is not one-sided. So why did you want me if you wanted me to change?
If I had to scale back, promise I'll do that. It's a fair and honest wager. I'm one of the converted, the blessed and highly favored. Taking my way now and forever. The road to hell is paved.
You say you like the way the moon falls on the city, while the devils dance around you like a gypsy. They always find you there, alone in your uneasy chair, seething at the room.
Wait for the light, wait for the light. Close your eyes and wait for the light. When you hear the chain creaking and the collar seems tight, you just close